It's live.
Okay.
You're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
Heidi ho, folks. How are you doing? Welcome to this episode of Addressing Gettysburg. And today we have a friend of ours, a friend of yours and mine's, and everybody else who ever meets her. And you probably know her from her wildly popular YouTube channel, and maybe on Instagram you follow her, or Facebook, but not TikTok. Not TikTok. And she is Jenn Benny from Walk with History and her podcast, Talk with History. And she is gracing us with her presence today. Welcome, Jenn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a great introduction.
Oh, thanks. Just off the top of my head. Welcome. It's nice to have you here. And I want to thank you. I want to start off with thanking you because, what was it, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago,
yes.
I was on your show. And it was something we talked about probably a year before that, maybe 6 or 8 years before that. And we finally got around to it. And that is that we talked about one of our well, was it one of your favorite? No, because you guys hadn't seen it before.
I hadn't seen it before, but one of my favorite actors.
Right. Okay. We both love John Wayne. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite John Wayne movies, perhaps my favorite, although I don't know, I wouldn't say it's his best, but it's my favorite, you understand,
sure.
Is The Horse Soldiers. And so we decided to do a show talking about that. And I thoroughly enjoyed myself doing that. You guys are fun to talk to.
I love talking about John Wayne and his acting. And we wanted to talk about a movie that was Civil War
Yeah,
related that
yeah.
he had done. And he did some where he was a Civil War veteran,
Right.
but not Civil War like during the time. And so Horse Soldiers fit that perfectly.
Yeah, because when you said that on the show, I got to thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like it starts at the end of the war, and then he goes off on some adventure, like in The Undefeated, for example.
Yeah. Or The Searchers,
Or
our
The Searchers
favorite.
is yeah.
He's a Confederate veteran.
Yeah. But there's only a few times where he's depicted in the war, aside from the Horse Soldiers, and those are like cameos in other movies. How the West Was Won.
Yes.
And what was the other one I said? There was another one. I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, I forget. It was just a quick one, but I don't remember what you had said.
Yeah. And anyway, but so I had a lot of fun doing that.
That was fun.
It was nice to do. And I hope there's something there because I was in honor of John Wayne. I Googled what his favorite drink was, and it was bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And but he liked wild turkey.
He did.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah.
Maybe at the time that was the best thing going for bourbons because now there's like a million different types of bourbons. And can I just say to the bourbon people, enough. And then with the beer people and all the different flavors of beers, enough.
Everyone needs to come out with their own brand.
Oh my God!
Right?
Well, we're going to do that too. But but what I'm saying is like all the different flavors and everything. Enough. Just stick with good old fashioned bourbon. Why can't we have coffee flavored coffee and bourbon flavored bourbon?
I guess because as you get older, your tastes change and you want something.
I think people are just dissatisfied. This is why marriages don't last because people just it's always greener on the other side, right?
Yeah.
And they figure, well, if we just have a whole bunch of different varieties of bourbon, I'll never get bored with bourbon or what. And frankly, I love them. I do like the different.
I do too. And honestly, I collect bourbons from my adventures.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
every time I go somewhere, like I do have a John Wayne bourbon now from when I went to his birthplace. I got bourbon from Alaska. I get bourbon from Wyoming. Like anytime we travel, I try to collect a bourbon from there.
That's good.
See our bar, you can see all those different ones and you're like, I want to try that one. I want to try that one from Normandy. Right. So it's kind
Yeah.
of neat to have them all up there.
And you live in Tennessee,
Live in Memphis, Tennessee.
but you're not from there.
No, I'm not. It's hard to say where I'm from because I'm a military brat.
Right.
So I was born in North Carolina. That's helped me a lot in the South. But right after that, we moved to Hawaii. I think we talked about this. My parents worked for Tom Selleck on Magnum PI.
Yeah.
But I grew up mostly in Wyoming.
Worked for Tom Selleck on Magnum PI as what?
They were security. My mom,
Security.
my parents were security.
Okay.
And then my mom, New York City, right? She's a cop.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I grew up mostly in Wyoming.
Really? What part of Cheyenne?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's pretty out there.
It was pretty.
But there's like nothing out there, right?
No, and I tell people it was a great place to be a girl, to be a kid, because my dad let me drive at a young age, right? And hunting and all.
Oh, do you miss that?
I do. I miss just the freedom.
Yeah.
of
Do
all.
you feel like you're in jail living in Tennessee compared to Wyoming?
Well, I feel like you don't want your kids to grow up so fast. And I feel like
Right.
that was a great place where I didn't have to have all these adult conversations and see all these adult things. I was more protected from it out there. So I miss
Right,
that
because
for my kids.
you're isolated from the real world,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah.
But you can, but in many ways, I would guess that you probably are more in touch with real life.
Yeah. And I think I felt so capable, right? Learning how to
Yes.
shoot a deer and learning how to clean a deer,
Yeah.
right? And hunting, and I raised cattle, and so you're just so capable at a young age.
Like you had blood on your prom dress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And so I feel like that's what helped when I went into the military too. Is I could do the things because from a young age, my parents instilled in me that you are going to do them. You're going to, take care of this and be self-reliant. And so I felt that.
And yet you've held on to your femininity. That's very nice.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
I feel like you can be both.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Well, obviously.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm one of those people like, why do you have to be one or the other?
Well, a lot of times you meet somebody who has your situation and, they talk like this and everything. And I'm like, that's not real. That's an affectation.
Yeah.
You don't really talk that way. But so that's cool though. I really kind of do envy that you grew up in Wyoming. Because I grew up in New Jersey and it's the furthest thing from Wyoming in the world. But I visited Wyoming. We went to a ranch 60 miles outside of Casper
Yeah.
to go riding. And I was like in heaven.
It's beautiful.
I felt like I was in a John Wayne movie.
Mm-hmm.
And even though most of those are in Monument Valley, the good ones, but it is a completely different lifestyle out there.
Yeah.
I remember the daughter of the ranch owners lived in a teepee like half a mile from the main house of the ranch because she just wanted to, and you could,
Yeah.
Because who the hell cares?
Yeah, I mean, it is the least populated state. So when you think about that,
one area code.
Yeah, one area code.
Yeah.
And I was a swimmer. We had talked about this before. And so if you're a swimmer in Wyoming, you have to swim against the whole state because there's no other people to compete against.
Right.
So I'm used to driving 6 hours to swim or 5 hours to swim.
God.
So we would drive across Wyoming, and you get so used to it. And I think the speed limit there is 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I loved it. It's what I knew, and I miss that. I would love to retire there. I'm trying to talk my husband into Cody, Wyoming.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But I married a city boy, and he wants to be close to an airport.
So go to Casper. There's a little one there. Well, I think it has 2 terminals.
It does. So little.
Yeah, but there's an airport, and it's international technically.
Yeah, and a lot of people live in like Jackson. Jackson is,
but that's expensive.
Yes, very expensive.
Yeah.
The elite,
Right. I don't know if I'd want to be around those people.
Yeah, not when they just want it for the status.
Yeah.
Right. They don't really want.
No, they don't really care about being in Wyoming. They care about being away from the normies, which I do too. But I don't want to be around them. I just want to be away from everybody.
Yes.
I would like to have their money.
Yes.
So that I can just get away from everybody.
Yeah, that's
including
the dream,
them.
right?
That is the dream. Yeah. I would love to have a place in Wyoming or Montana. Frankly, no, the winters are a little rough. Maybe somewhere down south, Texas or New Mexico or Arizona. I would rather deal with the intense heat than intense snow and cold.
They're cold
I know.
winters.
Yeah, and I couldn't do that. And you're in the you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's the middle of nowhere.
On the way from Casper International Airport to the ranch, right? It was one road. It was 60 miles.
Mm-hmm.
It was dirt.
Yep.
There we passed carcasses of old pianos that were dumped off of wagons from the old days. The rough ride was because the ruts from the wagon wheels were still in the road.
Yes.
And then the weirdest thing was a blue interstate sign every so many miles. And I finally said, I think it was Interstate 64. Does that make sense?
It does.
It does?
Mm-hmm.
And finally I said to the girl who was driving us there, who picked us up, I go, what's with this interstate sign? Like, I thought it was a joke that the locals put up, like they stole it off of something and put up there. And she's like, oh, well, this goes all the way up into Montana. And I was like, you're kidding me. And I couldn't believe it. And this road went back to way back when. Yeah.
So I can remember school field trips would be to Fort Laramie, right? If you ever played Oregon Trail, right? Fort Laramie was a stop on the Oregon Trail, and the real Oregon Trail went right through Wyoming. And so, like you said, we could see the ruts. You could go to where the ruts were and see the original ruts, plus a register cliff where they would carve their names into the soft rock.
Yes.
You could see that as well.
The coolest thing, there was this canyon a couple miles from the cabin we were in. And the first day, we were in college, so we didn't have a lot of money. We barely had the money to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were out there, we had like no money to spend. But we knew it was $100 to hire a guide. And we're like, we got to get a guide at least one day so we don't get lost,
Sure.
And I was like, I could figure out the rest because I'm pretty good with sense of direction stuff. Well, yeah, maybe back here in the East where there's trees and things that I could recognize. Not out there where it's all nothing.
Nothing.
And so, but there was this canyon about 1.5 miles or so, 2 miles from our cabin. And he took us out there. And by the time we got out there, it was around lunchtime. And so we stopped for lunch. We tied the horses to an old fence post down in the canyon. And we climbed up the canyon wall to this like overhang where there was graffiti from cavalry soldiers. Mm-hmm. But also like hieroglyphics from the natives that are probably 1,000 years old or maybe more, who knows. And that also was the canyon that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids gang, the Hole in the Wall gang, took to get to the hole in the wall, which was near where we were.
Yeah.
And I was like, this, and the thing is, there's very little modern hands or evidence of modern hands out there, right? Nope, nothing's paved.
Mm-mm.
I should have brought pictures if I knew you were from Wyoming. There was, right next to our cabin was the original homesteader's cabin from the 1840s, I want to say.
Sure.
And it was just rotted out. I mean, there's nothing usable there, right? But it was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And just a couple of bluffs away, there was a little, I guess maybe a hunting party or something, but there were teepee circles. You know, the rocks that they would put to weigh down the teepees were still there.
Yes.
And nobody's messed with this shit.
Nope.
And it's like, it's not even a national park or anything. Like, it's just somebody's property, somebody's ranch. It was the coolest thing in the world. You're very lucky that you grew up there.
Yeah, it's like walking into a time capsule.
It is.
But like you said, if you break down, who's going to help you? You have to become very self-reliant out there. And that's why I think it's a great place for someone to grow up, because you learn how to change a tire and no one's coming to rescue you.
No.
You have to figure out how to do this on your own.
What happens if you have a heart attack, though? That's the one thing I was like,
Yeah.
you're very far from a hospital.
You're very far from it. I mean, even in Cheyenne, we would go to Denver for most things because Cheyenne didn't even have a lot of things there.
Oh, God.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's the one thing as I get older. When I was younger, I would have been like, so what? But now I'm like, I got to be kind of close.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. So maybe Jackson it is.
I know.
Go to the populated area. All right, so we're supposed to actually talk about Strong Vincent today.
Yes.
But I enjoy talking about whatever with you, so we'll talk about whatever. Okay. Strong Vincent. This was your request. You said...
Yeah, what a great name.
It is a great name. His mother's maiden name, Strong.
Strong.
And that's all I know about him.
So I learned about Strong Vincent. I kind of go on a rampage about Strong Vincent. He's our second, like
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
I want
no.
people to know. So our second video on Walk with History ever was Strong Vincent. And it's because we were living in Erie at the time, Erie, Pennsylvania. Scott had his command tour there. So my husband is active duty military. I'm a retired Navy pilot. He is a surface warfare officer turned HR. So Navy, go Navy. Turned 50th birthday. I have to say it. Go Navy,
Yeah, of course,
Army.
of course.
And so his command tour was in Erie, Pennsylvania. What the heck is in Erie, Pennsylvania? It's the little cutout of Pennsylvania on the Great Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So it can have freshwater access, basically. And this is where Oliver Hazard Perry will have his fleet from the War of 1812. That's kind of like the big thing of Erie. So Navy presence there. And we were going to a re-enlistment at the Maritime Museum. And as I walked out, there was the statue, and it said, Brigadier General Strong Vincent, Hero of Gettysburg. And I'm like, who is this guy? I've never heard of him before. And it was the statue of him with a riding crop in his hand. He had the awesome mutton chops. Oh,
Yeah.
awesome, right?
You like mutton chops?
He wears them well.
Oh, you like them on him. Okay.
On him.
Okay.
Not everyone can wear them. Not everyone can pull a mustache off.
Could Scott wear mutton chops?
I think he could.
You think he could?
I think my
Okay.
husband could.
Okay.
So I wanted to know more about this guy and who he was and why is he the hero of Gettysburg? And so as I researched more about him, found out he's born right outside of Erie, a lawyer from Erie, went to Harvard, comes back, practiced the law, and when the war breaks out, he joins the 83rd Pennsylvania. And he comes in as a lieutenant colonel, but again, not a West Point guy, right? He's a lawyer. And he's in Fredericksburg, he's in Chancellorsville, and he gets a brigade. And he is the guy on the second day of battle when that far left flank of Little Round Top is supposed to be defended, and it's not because Sickles kind of went too far. And Warren is like, he's up there and he says, like, this is the place, but who's going to take care of it? And he sends an aide out to find Meade and tell Meade, hey, someone needs to defend this. And Meade grabs one of his aides to go find Sykes, to go find someone to defend this. And Sykes' aide is running around. Vincent is sitting on his horse watching this aide run by, and he goes, what's your orders? And he goes, I need to get to the general to find someone to take this hill. And Vincent, without orders, says, I'll take it. Because he sees it. And I just feel like here's a lawyer. Men at that time are studying tactics, right? Understanding war tactics. And he's seeing this spot on Little Round Top that is not defended. You can see the rebels advancing. And he gets his brigade up there 5 minutes before the rebels advance. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
And everyone knows the 20th Maine, the far left flank of his brigade, Chamberlain, and the charge, which rightfully so, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain was very brave. That bayonet charge is very brave. But it's Vincent who puts him there. And it's Vincent who tells him to hold the line. And Vincent will get mortally wounded that day and doesn't get to tell his story. But it's Vincent who had the forethought. It's Vincent who saves the day. It could have been a lot different if those rebels would have taken Little Round Top before any brigade had gone out there to defend it without direct orders. It could have been a lot different battle that day.
We had this debate on the show a few years ago. I forget who the guides were. I don't remember. It's come up a bunch of times, but Warren is known as like the hero of Little Round Top, and not to take anything away from him recognizing a potential disaster.
Sure.
Okay. But to me, okay, I remember this, I got in this debate after 9/11 and when everybody was a hero.
Sure.
And I'm always like, well, that's funny. I always remember that a hero is somebody who does something that he's not getting paid to do, and who does something out of the ordinary for someone else. And nothing against firemen or anything, but they are supposed to go into a burning building, right? The guy who's evacuating his office and hears somebody stuck in an elevator and goes to help that person and can't get him out, but is like, well, I'm going to stay with you until we can figure out a way to get you out. And they do. That's, to me, a hero.
Sure.
Right? So with that, my definition of hero, Warren is doing what someone in his position, standing on a boulder with binoculars, seeing everything, should do. Vincent is a guy who is breaking protocol.
Yes.
He is breaking the rules to go and do something that needs to be done because he recognizes, I'm right here. I can get up there quick. If we take the time to go through the chain of command, that hill could be lost.
Yes.
I'll get in trouble, but I'm willing to risk it in order to save that hill.
Exactly.
And that's, to me, a hero.
That's a hero.
Yeah.
So, yes, Warren has the statue. I mean, anybody could stand up there and go, this will be a strategic spot for a battle. I could stand up there and tell you that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, yeah, it's the high ground. The high ground's the strategic spot for a battle.
Right.
I also want to be like, it's not like pie, right? If we're not going to take away someone's hero status to give someone else hero status, right? Like, I'm not taking anything away from Chamberlain. I just felt like Chamberlain's story got so
blown out of proportion.
Yeah, so told, so blown up. He becomes the hero of Little Round Top. He can write about himself. He can write about, and we've talked about this too, the fog of battle when things are so crazy. Two people could be right beside each other and have completely different experiences, right? So Lawrence gets to write about it later and later and later. And he
beautifully,
gets
by the way.
Yeah, embellished more and more and more. But what happens is Vincent doesn't get to tell his story. And I never see Chamberlain doesn't ever speak bad of Vincent, but I don't see him giving a Vincent the credit, right? Where I think someone would be like, I was there because of Vincent. I did what I did because of Vincent. Like, I think he could have done more of that. And then I feel like Gettysburg, for a long time, the park also fell into that trap.
Sure.
Right? They paved the way to get to the main 20th monument, but there was no way to get to the 83rd Pennsylvania that depicted Vincent.
Right. Or the 16th Michigan, or like everybody else is just kind of like,
you had to beat through the weeds and get poison ivy, right? And fall over the rock and be like, where the heck is this thing? But Maine had a nice paved area. It's named for Chamberlain
Avenue,
right? And I just thought it was disproportionate.
No, yeah, you're right. And I think now in the last, it came to my attention, let's say 7 years ago when I started doing this, and it might have been brewing before that, but a lot of people, especially Gettysburg characters, are getting a second look, and I think a more sober look, because, whether it's hero worship, like with Chamberlain, or villainizing, like with Stuart or Longstreet.
Yeah.
Both of them they remind me of people who are intoxicated, right? Like it's like there's no reasoning with them. It's just this one extreme drunken way of looking at things. Mm-hmm. Whereas now I think everybody's like sobered up a bit and we're kind of sitting back a bit and we're like, yeah, you know what though? Like, it's easy to blame Longstreet, or it's easy to make Chamberlain the hero, but there were like other people there. And there were other people involved before Chamberlain.
Yeah, and to what you had said before, Vincent is acting without direct orders. He is taking a lot of initiative, mm-hmm. where that's not working on the South side. They're not taking a lot of initiative there, right? And so much so Lee's like, why aren't we advancing? Where here is Vincent, he's not even needing this order. Yeah. He sees it. He sees the aid. He knows. And I always tell people he's a colonel. That's the rank right before general. Very precarious rank to be. Sure. Right? Because you're not at that position where you can just, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm going here. And you're not a JO where you can be like, woohoo, let's fight everybody, right? You have to really be, you have to be strategic. He has 13,
you're a junior in high school.
Yeah. He has 1,300 men. He has to be strategic of where he places them. He has to have time to get them there. He has to also give orders to each one of them in charge. So he has to be thinking of all of this.
He has to know where to put them.
Know where to put them.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, wasn't the sixth? I think it was the 16th Maine was initially on the left of Chamberlain, mm-hmm. and then they were moved over to the right.
Yes.
So Chamberlain wasn't originally going to be the left flank.
He wasn't, and even then, we had talked about the wagon wheel maneuver was probably more of a necessity because of the sound, and they were just kind of like, they couldn't, because you can't, like you said, people were firing artillery. It's not like you can yell charge and turn. Like they're just doing it because they can't see, and they're coming closer. And so it's one of those things that's working out for them, but it's also a necessity of battle in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is it about that fact that Vincent is breaking the chain of command and taking the initiative himself that attracts you and I to that aspect of him and kind of makes him the hero to us?
Because it worked in his favor. Right.
So if it failed, I mean, for him, it failed because he died.
He died. Yes.
so
he doesn't get to tell his story.
No, but
it really saved the day for the Union. Because can you imagine if the South had taken, because the South was 5 minutes away from taking Round Top. And if they would have taken Round Top and then the Union would have been low ground trying to take it back, it could have changed the whole course of the second day.
So do you think it would have?
It's like could have, would have, but I think it really, that's the argument I make, is that it could have changed the entire course of the second day. The course of the second day is really what drives the third day to be the Union victory. But if this would have changed to a Southern victory that second day, and then Lee, he was already there, would have gotten the reinforcements that third day. And I think this is the farthest the South advanced to the North. If they would have gone even further, they would have won this battle. Gettysburg is like kind of the turning point here. The whole thing could have swung the other way if Vincent didn't take that initiative. And so I give him a lot of credit. And I don't know, this is all subjective, right? But I give Vincent a lot of credit here because there are colonels who don't do this. They're colonels who they're waiting for their orders. They don't want to do something wrong, right? They don't want to get in trouble. And he just takes this huge initiative to do that.
Well, he's a colonel in charge of a brigade, and I wonder if that makes a difference in your mindset as a colonel. You're not just in charge of a regiment where you really can't really do, but with the brigade, you have a little more maybe autonomy. Mm-hmm. Maybe not. I don't know. So, audience, I want to know from you guys, and I'm going to ask Mikey B in the back there. Do you agree with Jen that if the Confederates had taken Little Round Top, would it have been catastrophic? So while the audience is making their comments, Mikey B, what do you say about that?
First of all, I don't love that I've got a babysitter and Tad back here.
What is he telling you what to do?
No, he is, but he's doing it with his silence. I feel like every camera switch, he's not even watching.
Right.
I have anxiety.
Yeah.
With
So your paranoia is getting the better of you.
To
is what you're
answer your
saying.
question, Matt.
Yes.
Mattathy. To answer your question, it's one. If we just don't know what would have happened. However, if you look in the moment of those things happening, I mean, you see how things go as the day progresses on. It obviously is paramount to the Union holding that part of the line. I mean, even as the day progresses and, where the reserves come from, think of how close everything still was, even though they had Little Round Top. So, I think it was incredibly important. But, what would have happened after that, who knows? But it doesn't really matter. It was important in the moment.
Tad, your thoughts? Tad has no thoughts.
Dad's like, what's Little Round Top?
Yeah, exactly.
That was a good answer, Mike. Publicly, I think that was a good answer. I don't know.
I know. I was just messing with you, Tad. See, that's okay. So that's interesting because this has come up so many times, and we've discussed this a lot, and I don't know. Definitely, if you asked me 10 years ago, I would say, "Oh yeah, it was the key to the Union line," right? If you asked me 30 years ago when I first saw the movie, I'd be like, "Absolutely, that was not only the key to the Union line, but that was the key to the country," right? But now I think it would have certainly changed the way the maps that we look at look.
Sure.
Okay, the battle maps. I think maybe the Confederates could have put a battery up there, maybe two. But I don't think it would. I still think the end result would have been the same, and they would have lost the battle, and they would have had to give it up.
And to be fair, you know what? What's so hard about these, Matt, is you just
don't know
the mental side of it, right? So they had just gotten, the first day did not go well. And if the second day starts to not go well, who knows what happens? We think of the Union Army of the Potomac as strong.
Well, the second day really didn't go that well, though.
What's that?
The second day really didn't go that well. I mean, not as bad as the first day, but like...
No, but I mean, if it had gotten progressively even worse than that, if now they're in what we would consider our rear, the Confederates really don't get in the rear. And we know how many...
Say that again.
Arrears.
we know it's just law, because we've studied the battle. We know the maps.
Yeah.
But they didn't know if there were more forces behind that. They didn't know what the strength was. So how would they have acted? Would they have had to pull back the left? Would they have had to have vacated the area? All things we don't know. So to me...
You're talking about the North?
Yes.
See, I think if by the... What was it, the night of the 2nd or the morning of the 3rd, they knew that all Lee had left was Pickett. Mm-hmm. If they knew that much that soon, they knew what they were up against. You know what I'm saying?
So, well, they know that because of as the battle progresses and prisoners they take, et cetera, et cetera. But at the time that Little Round Top was being threatened, that was at that.
Well, that's true. But they had. I mean, I don't know, but I would assume that they had to have had adequate information as to where Lee's troops were, who was where, things like that, who was coming. I mean, they all knew.
I would disagree. I mean, that the whole force got over there almost without them knowing exactly what was there.
Yeah, but they did know they were on the move, though, or at least the signal station did.
Sure, but you can only see what you can see.
Yeah.
Imagine they take Little Round Top and they take all those Union prisoners. Too, and then they're getting that intel on their side, right?
Sure.
And I think that would have been the boost that Lee would have needed too, right? To kind of keep advancing forward. So I think, like what
Mike.
I don't want to call you your nickname. What Mike was saying, you don't know what mentally it would have done for the rebels to have taken Little Round Top, and then for the Union to have seen that and.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Again, Mike brought up, you got the 6th Corps still coming up. I think maybe you would have had a you would have had a longer fight over Little Round Top,
Sure.
kind of like maybe like the way it went for Culp's Hill.
Sure.
You know, you
Yeah.
would have had to try to retake
Back and forth.
part of it and something like, and so maybe that's what the reserves would have been used for. Yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting question. Let's see what the audience has to say about all this stuff, because they are the greatest people on earth. I don't know if you knew that.
No,
Take him from the rear.
I want to know. I want to know what people think about Strong Vincent too. So my other gripe, and I think I've told you this, is when you go to all the gift shops here, right? And they have all this Chamberlain stuff. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Chamberlain. It's great. But I cannot find a Strong Vincent shirt except for the one that Addressing Gettysburg made.
Yes.
And I bought, right?
Yes.
From the movie. Right?
Well, that's because most other people are nitwits.
Well, they don't
Okay.
know about him.
Well, they know about him from the movie.
Yeah, little Maxwell Caulfield, right?
Right.
A little bit. Which
Right.
Great.
You liked
Chop.
his mutton chops.
Yeah.
There
guess
are
it-
other places that have strong.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. You have a
Oh,
shirt
they do.
there at Civil War Tees?
Never seen my strong shirt.
No, I haven't
You
seen
have a
it
strong
because
shirt?
it's not as popular as ours.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. What is your shirt?
It says strong on it. It's awesome. It's a Strong Vincent shirt.
Just
it-
the word strong?
Is it him? Is it the photograph of him?
I will show it to you out at the break.
Okay.
All right.
Can't wait. Cannot wait. Okay, so let's see here.
Yeah. What do the peeps say?
John B says, here in Erie, PA area, Vincent is the hero, and I think correctly so. Yes, I agree. Jeff Pasnick says, admiring everyone's individual contributions that led to the eventual holding Little Round Top, not Little Ground Top. There would be no Jesus Chamberlain without Vincent and his knowledge of the situation. John B says, knowledge. Vincent, the sacrificial lamb. Jeff Pasnick says, I think people today have a much deeper contribution for all these heroic situational moments by soldiers and want to acknowledge their efforts instead of the generic 3-4 names you learn in school. Yeah. And I think that's an overcorrection. Don't you? Yeah. Not that they're not. See, and you can't say that
Yeah.
because then everybody's like, bleh.
Well, yeah,
But
'cause-
that's not. Go ahead.
And I want to stress, yes, there are heroes. Like you said, O'Rourke will die there. There's a couple officers that are going to die on Little Round Top. And Chamberlain does survive. He gets to tell his story. But I want to stress, none of them would be there without Vincent. Right? So that's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't take away their heroism and what they did that day. I just want Vincent to get the credit for putting them there and having that moment for that entire battle of them on Little Round Top. That was his decision to do that without direct orders. He did this. And then he goes out in front without a weapon or anything, with just a riding crop, and screams at them to don't give him an inch,
Yeah.
right? So it reminds me a lot of almost of George Washington in the way where he gets out in front of to motivate his men. He does the same thing.
Except for Washington, the bullet holes were in his clothes,
Yeah.
not in his balls.
Exactly.
Grant, who's from Australia, by the way, he says, I think it would have been a serious problem for the North if they had taken Little Round Top. Grant is also not anybody we take seriously. John B says, yes, Alabama regiment getting up in hill and even directing a couple cannons into the Union line could have caused a domino effect somewhere in the other Confederacy attacks that day. You see, I don't know. I disagree with that. I've heard that a lot. I don't know if I agree with that so much. And the reason is, okay, the Confederates take Little Round Top.
Okay.
Then what and with whom? Because the other side of that is the Union gets pushed off Little Round Top.
Well,
They've got reserves.
That's true, but and it's not just Little Round Top, as they could have outflanked them. They could have come around.
With what troops?
Well, the same troops with momentum, I guess.
Right. And that dies out, especially when you don't have reserves to go in and exploit the advantages. So my point is the Union will have reserves coming up.
That's true.
So whatever gains the Confederates make off of Little Round Top or east of Little Round Top are going to eventually be at least challenged. I don't know if they're going to be chewed up by Union reserves, but the Union has something to work with. The Confederate is giving all it's got.
Sure.
The Confederates are giving all they got.
And not just that, Matt, they've got the whole, the 12th Corps gets sent over there. I mean,
Yes.
there's plenty of manpower. My argument was devil's advocate argument, but you could
Yes.
also argue it could have even gone worse for the Confederates if they were in that position that far in advance, and then the 6th Corps and the 12th Corps arrived. So who knows?
Yeah.
But who knows too? What if the Lee had seen them advancing and he goes, I'm going to send reinforcements now. Look at
He
they're
doesn't
gonna,
have them.
see.
He doesn't have them.
That's
I mean,
true.
you know, any brigades that aren't in any use anywhere probably should be best held as reserves for their sector of the line.
Yeah.
And by the time, like for example, brigades that aren't being used in Hill's Corps, for them to get down there is going to take a while.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know what Lee has to work with, except for what he uses to make the attacks that he makes. But beyond that, he's got to reuse the men. I mean, look at on July 3rd, Pickett's charge. You know, Pickett's division is the only fresh one. The
Yeah.
other two divisions have been badly used on July 1st, and they're in tough shape. So he doesn't have anything to work with. That's why I think it's just going to change the maps that we look at.
Sure.
Like, ultimately, like the end result is still the same. But luckily, our hero Vincent made it so we don't have to worry about that. We have very easy to read maps. Let me tell you what else we got here from people saying things. John B says, Confederacy attacking other parts of the Union line that day. Just a small, short effect could be costly. Maybe Union reinforcements are not moved to Culp's Hill or Cemetery Hill. What happens? Jeff Pasnick says, Vincent's chops in the movie might be the best facial hair in the whole movie.
Thank you.
They are.
Jeff Pasnick says, agrees Civil War tees and great and love Mike's designs. Very nice. Those aren't Mike's designs. Those are his buddy Brian's. Don Zavodny says, if Confederates take Little Round Top, it would have created more chaos and chaos and gaps for Meade to respond to. But with the 6th Corps in reserve, it likely wouldn't have changed the result, but would create uncertainty. There you go. Grant says he's offended by that. And he's talking about me saying that we don't take him seriously. 6 questions. Gettysburg Lentz says, taking Little Round. I love that he calls himself Gettysburg Lentz, because he is Gettysburg Lentz, ladies and gentlemen. And he's about to be a licensed battlefield guide if they would ever open the damn government. Taking Little Round Top would have been difficult, but holding it would also have been difficult. The Confederates do not have the support forces to hold immediately, maybe if Pickett reinforced. Thank you, Michael. Don Zavodny said, Lee, of course, never had enough reinforcements to take advantage of successes. Chamberlain's own acting, this is John B. Chamberlain's own acting major wrote a letter after the war to Oliver Norton. In it, he mentions Chamberlain, quote, has a notorious inability to tell the truth. And Pukasht says, Gettysburg Lentz, yes, and with no water. Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. Water. That's another issue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right. So that's where the audience stands. It seems kind of like they're on both our sides here.
Well, I think, Vincent, more people are championing him. I know there was a book that came out, The Lion of Little Round Top, talking about him. I think more people are getting his story out there. And I think because of that, he's becoming more aware. But like I said, when I walked into all the gift shops, everyone has a Chamberlain t-shirt.
Yeah.
Everyone has a Chamberlain magnet or postcard. Not one had Vincent. Nothing.
You know what? We are working with Adams County Winery to do our own wine label, and it's kind of, we're ripping off 19 Crimes. Their labels. You know, you've seen those?
No.
Oh.
Is it like 19 different crimes, 19 different labels?
No, it's like famous mug shots. It's not even famous mug shots. It's just mug shots.
Yeah.
And then there's like a QR code and you go to I think it's like a AI thing where the person's talking and telling you their crimes and everything like that.
That's kind of cool.
So we're going to do that, but with soldiers. And the original ideas for the labels were 2 low-hanging fruit and 2 unknowns. And we were going to do Pickett and Chamberlain. But I'm thinking we're going to change Chamberlain to Vincent.
Yeah.
Because part of this is not just to get you drunk, but it's also to educate you. And I think, Chamberlain is so 1993. I think we need to really start to correct the record.
Yeah.
And the record should show that Vincent was as we said, the hero.
Yeah, no Chamberlain without Vincent.
No, there isn't. No,
Yeah.
you're right.
And it's weird to think that you said 1993. The impact of that movie is massive.
I know.
Yeah.
On people the names they know, what people want to buy.
And Jeff Daniels plays him.
Yep.
So fantastic acting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, his mustache. It's just fantastic. And you get Maxwell Caulfield, who I love, but he gets all of a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like
maybe a minute and a half.
it doesn't. If it would have showed the aide running around, Little Round Top left us, and how Vincent is sitting on his horse. That's just how they found, Strong Vincent is sitting on his horse and sees the aide, and he takes them up there. If you saw him put everyone in position and then give those orders to Chamberlain, people would think a lot differently about Strong Vincent.
No, I agree. Because we just see him very briefly talk to Chamberlain, put him where he needs to put him, and then it's Chamberlain's story after that. And I understand that, but Vincent has his own story as well.
He does. I mean, he gets out on that boulder that is engraved, and a lot of people don't know that boulder was engraved by his men in 1864. It's considered one of the first monuments on Gettysburg. His men went out there. It says Colonel Strong Vincent fell here July 2nd, 1863. And a year later, they did that. So before they're putting out all these things around Gettysburg, his Lynch boys, as they're coming up, because they're starting to fall back, and he gets shot through the leg, through the groin. He's taken to the farm. We talked about the Bushman farm, and he lingers for 5 days. So it makes me think like he wasn't hit in his femoral artery, because he would have bled out quicker. So
minutes.
Yeah. So he lingers for 5 days. He gets blood poisoning more than likely, right? He's muttering the Lord's Prayer. He gets promoted to brigadier general the very next day. Meade puts him in on July 2nd, that night.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln approves it that next day.
Yeah.
Now, conflicting, does he know that he's been promoted? Because he's kind of delirious by this point, but he's promoted to brigadier general. And his wife, who is pregnant at the time, is trying to get there to Gettysburg to be with him for his last moments, but she doesn't get there in time. But the woman who is nursing him, Caroline Bushman, she will name her son Strong Vincent Bushman because of him.
Yeah.
And he's born in September. And then Strong Vincent will also have a daughter who's born in September. So, yeah.
Yeah, he it's a shame that history doesn't remember him. Popular history doesn't remember him at all, really, except for that mention in the movie and the Killer Angels. But I think that just has to be our jobs, right?
Yeah, that's
we need to be the ones to shine a light on these people who are, and it's not to take anything away from the known heroes of Gettysburg or the war in general or history at all, but it's to say that it takes more than just these stellar characters. And also these stellar characters become stellar for different reasons.
And like I said, it's not like pie. If we call one person a hero, it doesn't take that other person's heroism away. And that's our job as storytellers. They can't tell their story.
No.
Right? So we tell it.
Yeah.
And Vincent was one of those who couldn't tell it at all.
Immediately.
Right?
Yeah.
But Chamberlain got a chance to tell his. And then, Killer Angels picked it up and even embellished it more. But we get to do that. And I think it is working because, like I said, I just went out to Little Round Top this morning and there are cut paths now to the Vincent. There's 3 kind of Vincent memorials there on Little Round Top. And now you can actually get to them without having to go through the weeds and figure out.
Well, and also, I mean, here's the thing about those is, and like the 16th Michigan and all those monuments out there, is people made what they call social trails out to see them. Now, there may have been originally paths or roads that went there. I think there might have been for some. But I remember when they were talking about the rehab that they were going to do, they would mention that they're going to formalize some of those social trails. But whenever they would say social trails, there was some kind of disdain because trying to go to these places, and they didn't care that there weren't any formal paths. They went there anyway because they wanted to see the 83rd PA. They wanted to see the different markers for Vincent. They wanted to see the 16th Michigan. They wanted to see it all. And so they found a way to get out there and do it. And so finally the park caught up to them and said, well, we might as well, and so I think the American people deserve the thanks for that one.
I agree.
Yeah.
I went out this morning. I laid down on the boulder where Strong Vincent fell.
Oh yeah.
Like you can barely see it anymore. It's been etched in, but I laid down and took a picture with it because I didn't stand on it, but I wanted to be there. And I think that's the whole point of visiting these places is you want to go to the actual location. You want to honor these people and you want to go to where those monuments are. And I think that's our right.
Yeah.
We want to tell their stories. We want to be there. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
And you can't beat that feeling, right? Like for people that hear that, I'm sure everyone's been to Gettysburg, but if you listen to this and you haven't, being there and knowing what happened there, that connection, those rocks and those monuments, there's something very human about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
There is. And to put yourself in the environment that these things happened on, and even though it's not exactly the same as it was back then, and there's a lot of modern intrusions and modern modifications and things like that, you're still standing where it happened. You hear the story. You can imagine it's enough the same. It's not in detail, but in the grand picture, it basically looks the same as it did back then. And so you can get if you can imagine things, you can get a pretty good chill down your spine standing in these places and hearing these stories or thinking about them or reading them or something. It's, yeah. 6 Questions Length says that battlefield is full of stories of heroes, and that is true.
That's true.
It really is. I think he's talking about this one. Gettysburg, that is. They all are, though.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not like pie. I just think Vincent's legacy was lacking. I think the general knowledge of his story was lacking, and I just think more people should know. Like you said, what a cool name. I was doing some research for Halloween. I dressed up as Agent 355. That was the female agent of the Culpeper spy ring during the Revolutionary War. And they believe...
Culper?
Yep, Culper. Yeah. And they believe her name was Anna Strong.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wondered, is this a relation to Strong Vincent?
Interesting.
Right? And so, because Strong Vincent can trace his family back to the original colonies, the original British who had come over. And most of his family was in Connecticut, though. So there wasn't a direct relation between Anna Strong and Strong Vincent.
But didn't that take place in Connecticut? I thought there was New York and Connecticut, the Culper ring.
She's in Long Island. She was part of the ring in Long Island. So not quite as close, but I feel like there's probably a family connection there. So I like that through American history, he's a part of this story, and we get to keep telling his story. So I don't want his legacy to fall by the wayside. Or Strong Vincent is, but we need to talk more about Chamberlain. I feel like Strong Vincent needs to be right up there with everyone else.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a shame because he only took command of that brigade, I believe, in May of 63. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so he didn't have a very long time to prove himself up there, but at that level, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But the one big thing that he did in that time, even though it got him killed, was a huge help to the Union Army.
A huge help. And can you imagine if he would have lived? Like I think about, he was Brigadier General Vincent, what he could have done after that. Right? We probably would have known him much more.
Oh, yeah. By the end, he probably would have been Major General, command of a division or something.
Yeah.
Maybe a corps.
What a great name.
I know. Maybe just because of the name, they wanted to make him general, right? Well, I really enjoyed this talk about Vincent because we'd never done a thing where we just talk about Vincent.
Yeah.
It's always like he's part of the bigger story,
and that's always what he's kind of subjugated to.
Yeah.
He's always subjugated to part of the story. And yeah, he did this, but I feel like people don't see the big picture of what he really did. And you get all the other stories out of him and what he did. But I really think he deserves his time in the spotlight. Right. And again, not taking away from anyone else's. Not pie, but
I like that. Now I've never heard that before.
Yeah, like you only get so much of a piece.
Yeah,
and if you take someone else's, then
right,
they get less of a piece.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone can have a hero piece of pie, but I think just Vincent deserves his piece. So.
Maybe hero is the wrong word to use for what we're trying to say.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And maybe that's why it's such a contentious word for some people, because it's, I don't know what the word would be, but maybe it's not hero. The smart guy of Little Round Top.
Well, I liked,
Like-
when Myers used lion of Round Top,
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah.
It is kind of like the forethought of, I mean, that's what Warren's statue is kind of alluding to, the forethought of Round Top. I mean,
Yeah.
Vincent is the fruition of that statue. Vincent is the one who's taken the action of that.
That's great. The fruition. Yeah. Because Warren gets the ball rolling. He has the idea, but it's Vincent's decision that brings it to fruition, and it saves the day for them. I also think that historians, and it's not that they didn't tell the story of Vincent and what he did at this battle, but I think they kind of, maybe in an effort just to sell books, and maybe it was their publisher's fault, maybe not their fault entirely, but whatever. All the books about Chamberlain, and not that there haven't been books about Vincent, but nothing like that.
Nothing like that. And there was a color guard who was under Vincent, and in the color guard they had this rule: they had to be so close to their commander, right? And Vincent had yelled at him to put the flag down and hide behind the boulder when he got out.
Yes.
And that color guard, Norton, had written a book, and he really championed Vincent.
Right.
And he really, he told Chamberlain, every time Chamberlain talks about what he did, and without giving Vincent credit, that he was robbing the dead. And I think that is a great analogy for these heroes who die at Gettysburg, and then their stories don't get pushed to the top, but the survivors will push theirs to the top, that it is robbing the dead of their due.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Because they deserve a piece of the pie.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. The robbing the dead. I don't like robbing the dead. I like the phrase. Jeff Pasnick says, this is a great discussion. I love the audience participation. You guys are all awesome, except for Mikey B. This is why I love AG and Patreon. I'm just kidding. He didn't say that, Mikey. He didn't say that about you.
Say that.
Gettysburg Lens says, this was awesome. Great episode. Vincent does not need more attention in the overall story of Gettysburg. Oh, sorry. Does need more attention in the overall story of Gettysburg. Jeff also says he was an instrumental leader. John B., I like this. Colonel Vincent, the guardian of Little Round Top.
There you go.
And Six Questions says, without Ollie Norton, he would be even less remembered. And I think that is true.
There's an interesting parallel there between Norton and Aaron Jerome and Buford, right? So you got Vincent and Buford. They're both killed. Well, Vincent's killed at Gettysburg. Buford dies just a few months after an illness. But Aaron Jerome wrote to Hancock. Hancock talked about the Battle of Gettysburg and didn't give him what Jerome thought, didn't give Buford enough credit.
Yes.
And Jerome wrote him a letter and said, yo, buddy, like, do you even know the things that Buford did? Because he was with him as a member of the Signal Corps. So Norton's kind of the same thing, right? Where Vincent's killed and he's trying to get the word out. He was there. He saw first person the decision Vincent made.
Yeah.
He's the best person to kind of...
Well, and that makes sense. You're right, because he would have a more intimate knowledge of what Vincent or Jerome to Buford, a staff officer, would be more intimately involved with the decision-making process and the actions of a commander.
Yes.
And would be the right person to really tell that story, because the soldiers, the rank and file, of a brigade commander, I mean, what's their, what encounters are they having with him? They're always at a distance, probably.
100%. And I can imagine Chamberlain getting the letters from Norton saying, because who else could hold you accountable than somebody who was there?
Yeah.
Right? I can imagine Chamberlain got those letters and was like, oh God, this guy again. He's like, you're robbing, what are you talking about? You're robbing the dead. Da, da, da. And Chamberlain's probably like, leave me alone in Maine. I'm doing my thing.
Right.
Luckily,
everybody's going to remember me and not you. Until now.
Right?
Grant says Miles B is the greatest. He told me himself. I think he meant Mikey B.
I think he means Miles.
Miles.
It's clearly not me.
Miles Davis's brother. Miles B.
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis. It's his evil twin, Miles Davis.
He's trying to take the credit away. I wrote that song.
He plays flugelhorn. Well, Jen, the Walk with History, you've got a YouTube channel.
Yes.
You've got Instagram and Facebook. No TikTok, as we said. Talk with History, is that on like everywhere you find podcasts?
Everywhere you find podcasts.
Okay. And it's walkwithhistory.net is your website.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody listening to this show already knows your show, but in case you don't already know her show, it has always been good, but it got great when she interviewed me a couple of weeks ago and we talked about John Wayne and the Horse Soldiers. And that is really, I think that's the one that's going to propel them into...
Congrats on being famous now. You can thank Matt.
Yeah.
I know. I signed the Wall of Fame. So.
Thank Matt, who will remain right here in obscurity. So you're welcome. Thank you for coming out here and doing that. You didn't come out here just to do this, did you?
I did.
You did not.
Yeah.
Did you really?
I came out here just for this. Now, granted, I'm going to make a video about Dick Winters while I'm here.
So you're going to the museum next door.
And I've been to Aldeborn, and I sat on the bench where he sees the Barnes family, and I went to the Barnes grave and I left a flag for them. Because again, as an officer, Winters, when he brings his men, he really thinks about living with the Barnes family and what they're fighting for. So I always try to think about, Vincent, Barnes, Vincent, Winters, even my story this Wednesday is Michael Murphy, the only Penn Stater to receive the Medal of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Like these officers, they have to be thinking bigger picture every time they're making these decisions. And so I try to honor that and remember that, especially with Veterans Day coming up.
When we've had veterans associated with the show all the time, whether as listeners or as part of the show, and they always, in absentia, bust the balls of officers, right? They're always, officers, blah. And maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. But on the other hand, what you're saying, like these guys really have to be smart. You can't make an idiot an officer, right? Because there's a lot of things that he has to think about. Or nowadays, she has to think about.
Well, your people won't follow you either.
That's true too.
Right? Like it's not, you think people just following you blindly. That's not how it works.
Right, because you have a little thing on your collar.
Yeah. Like that's not how it works. So you're leading people into war.
Right.
And you have to you're putting yourself out there first, and you have to really be thinking of not only the strategy and the mission, but their lives as well. And
you have to think above and below you. Like you have to think, how do I please my boss? How do I do my part to make his plan work? But how do I also not get my men killed?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a lot. And I'm always inspired by these people who have done it, right? And think of Vincent, think of Dick Winters, think of Michael Murphy. Like I'm just always inspired by these people, and I took that upon myself too. And my greatest accomplishment in the military was I brought all my men back alive. That's what I say. After my deployments and lots of things that went wrong and could have been worse, I brought everyone back alive. And so for me, that was the greatest thing. And when I was done, I was done.
Yeah. I'm not right.
Never jinx that.
I'm not going back. Right. I'm not testing my luck.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. I can't. I mean, I can't imagine what that feel. You have to feel responsible if you. I mean, that sticks with you, I'm sure. And you talk about Dick Winters and Band of Brothers. Of course, everybody's seen that. I was watching it the other day, and you know how they would have the interviews with the soldiers in the beginning, the actual veterans.
Yeah.
I love how they don't tell you who they are until the last episode. But they're, how many years later that was? 60 years later, something like that.
Yes.
And they still, especially when talking about someone else getting killed, they get choked up, right? And that can't, and it wasn't necessarily a guy they were responsible for, like as an officer per se, but just, a buddy. And, you don't lose that. And I I can't imagine what that feels like. So I'm very happy for your sake that you brought them all back alive. And of course, for their sake as well,
Yeah.
and their family's sake. But I can't imagine how much that would weigh on you afterwards if you don't.
Yeah, the responsibility of it. And like you said, it's so much. You want to be up on tactics. You want to be knowing the mission. You want to be knowing what's going on day to day with the battle and the battle plan. Then you want to be knowing your people, make sure you know how, if all of their needs are met, right? Being an officer is a lot of responsibility, and you really have to take it seriously, because when you get into battle, it's life and death.
Yeah.
And you want people who are willing to put it all on the line for each other. That's really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. I always love what Dick Winters says at the end of Band of Brothers, right? And his grandson asks him if he's a hero.
Ugh, yeah.
And he said, no, but I served with people who were.
Yeah. That one always makes me look the other way if there's somebody else in the room.
But I think that's probably the same way Vincent probably felt.
Sure.
Probably the same way Michael Murphy probably felt, right? It's like when you're in charge, you really do not see yourself at that at all. You see yourself as this job.
Yeah.
And you want to take care of your people. That is the most important thing to you. And you want to accomplish the mission. And you want to do it, all with respect and bring everyone home with honor. But really, it really comes down to the person beside you and each other, and being together and doing that together. But I really think that that's why Vincent's story needs to be told. I love that Dick Winters, his story got told.
Yes. Yes.
Michael Murphy, the only Penn Stater to receive the Medal of Honor, his story's told in Lone Survivor, but I really think more people need to know who he is too. So I feel like if you're left behind and you're a storyteller, it's your job to tell their stories.
Yeah. It's funny because there is more of an interest now in the common soldier, no matter what war we're talking about, right? Just what it's like for the common soldier, which I like. At first I didn't like that because I don't know, I've always wanted to be a leader. So I'm like, I want to learn about the leaders, but as I was forced to kind of open myself to that for doing the show or to do the show, I actually do find that to be more interesting, the stories of the common soldier.
Well, I feel like you're a micro leader, right?
Yeah.
Good followers are good leaders.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because even a leader has to follow somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, good leaders are good followers.
Yeah, good leaders are good followers, right? And so even somebody, when we do like the micro histories, or we tell, like, think of Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
And we get to know their whole squad.
Typist.
But it's interesting that each person has their moment where they
Yes.
are also following and leading. And that's important no matter what kind of soldier you are.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me, Matt, from doing the show, are you a hero? And I say, no, but Mikey B is.
But I work with people.
But I work with people who are heroes. And Mikey B is the leader of them all.
What do
Right,
you want?
Mikey?
What do you want?
Can I borrow $1,000?
Yeah, I got that.
You're my
line
hero.
down. Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, Jen,
This
thank
was
you very
awesome.
much for doing this. When are you leaving?
So I'm going to leave tomorrow. I'm going to go do I'm going to go to Dick Winters' grave and do his story up past Lancaster.
So you're leaving in the morning?
Yes, I'm leaving in the morning. I think I'm
Early?
Gonna, why? Did you want to go do breakfast?
Well, I was gonna say you should. I'd usually do like a live driving video around the battlefield, and you should join me.
I
in
will.
Because people like when I have a guest, so I want to do that more often.
Let's do it.
So why don't you do that in the morning? What time are you getting up and leaving?
What time do you do
Let's
your?
not do it too early here. Come on.
Well, what time?
Like
do you,
11:59.
you knew.
No, I get up. I'm up early, but I don't know, like 8, 9. Yeah.
Yeah, I get up early too. So the earlier you want to do it is fine.
I get up early, but I don't get out
Yes.
until 9ish, 8:39ish.
Well, I will say this
But I can
morning
make an
I
effort.
was out, and sunrise is probably too early for you, but it's beautiful. If you
No,
go
it's
to Little
gorgeous.
Round Top at sunrise, golden hour,
Yeah,
I think it's the best time to see it.
it is sunset too.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
though.
but I would
Okay.
love to. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you for coming on and doing this. Thank you for having me on your show.
We'll do it again.
I would love to do it again. We're doing what, the Searchers or True Grit or
We were going to do, oh gosh, what were we going to do? We're going to do John
Not the
Wayne.
Conqueror.
No, John Wayne as, like we were going to do the top 10 John Wayne as a military soldier or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I forget what we said.
I forget it too. Luckily, it's recorded.
It's recorded and it's written down. Luckily, I have a producer who wrote it all down.
Thank God you do. All right. So you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for your participation. If you haven't already, go check out Jenn's channel. Once again, it's Walk with History. Talk with History is her podcast. That's the name, Walk with History, everywhere you go except for TikTok. And, of course, we're addressing Gettysburg, and we're the greatest thing you've ever known in your life since sliced bread. That's the truth, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
And we'll thank you all for watching. Mikey, thank you for your help, and we'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
That was fun.
Yes, it was. Yeah, if you want to do tomorrow morning,
I would love
we
to.
could do that. I definitely want to be able to do sunrise because, a couple people getting ready in the house and everything. It's,
And now,